I believe we're on the air right now. I'm just looking at the YouTube feed. It doesn't seem to be on yet. Let me just check right now and see.
Mike, we're getting a go.
We're getting a go? Okay, because it still says the meeting will begin shortly.
It's on now.
It's on now. Okay, perfect. All right. The air right now. I'm just looking at the YouTube feed. It doesn't seem to be on yet. Let me just check right now and see. Okay, well, I think we're on right now. So turn off if you have YouTube on. Welcome everybody. If anyone has YouTube on our screen, turn it to mute, please. Thank you very much and welcome. Okay. Welcome. All right. The air right now. I'm just looking at YouTube feed. It doesn't seem to be. Okay. We have. This is Mike Cohen. Welcome to our first ever virtual town hall meeting. Joined by Councillor David Tordjman. Councillor for District 6 and 8.0, and Mitchell Brownstein, our mayor. Thank you very much. I wanted to say that since I was first elected over 14 years ago, I've hosted meetings that last at least once a year, town hall meetings. And while I do take daily walkabouts in the spring, summer, and fall throughout the district and communicate with constituents by phone, email, and in pre-COVID times in person, this became a unique opportunity to focus on district issues. Last fall, of course, longtime Councillor Ruth Kovac passed away, and a by-election was scheduled for April, but it was postponed due to the pandemic. We have two candidates, but no date when this will occur. So for the time being, Councillor Tordjman and I are serving those constituents on an interim basis, east of Cavendish for myself, west of Cavendish for David. So Councillor Tordjman, of course, and Mayor Brownstein are joining me tonight. Now, I will tell you that we don't know what the Quebec government is going to do, but they're opening up a lot right now. And I hope they could find a safe way to have these by-elections. I know people are asking us about the posters for the two candidates, which is their perfect right to do. There's no reason for them to take them down because there's still a by-election scheduled. And, you know, if people can social distance at IGA and Farmer Pre and all the stores that are opening right now, especially with by-elections not having a huge turnout, I think they could social distance in a by-election. I'm sure the Quebec government would come up with ways. So I hope with safety measures in place that we can have a by-election soon. I know right now it's supposed to be the end of June. We're not sure. So, bonsoir et bienvenue à notre toute première réunion de Hôtel de Ville virtuelle. Depuis que j'ai été élu pour la première fois il y a plus de 14 ans, j'ai organisé de telles réunions au moins une fois par an. Bien que je fasse des sorties quotidiennes en printemps, en été, en automne, dans tout le district et que je communiquais avec les électeurs par téléphone, par courriel électronique et personne lors des réunions pré-COVID, cela est devenu une occasion unique de me concentrer sur les problèmes du district. Le conseiller Tordjman et le maire Brownstein se joignent à moi ce soir. And here is how it's going to work. I am going to turn the microphone over to Councillor Tordjman for opening remarks in a few minutes. We will then have a guest at about 7:30, Carol Dudak, who is Vice President of the company that is responsible for the Equinox and the new Le Montefiore. She's going to give an update on construction and how that's going. And if people do have questions, on the right-hand side of the chat, a lot of people are doing it already. You can write your questions in the chat. You can just make a comment, but if it's an actual question and it's not confrontational, dealing with personalities, we will try to answer it tonight. So please, that's how we're going to work it tonight. Then after Ms. Dudak speaks, Mayor Brownstein will give an update on COVID. He will also answer a few questions. He'll then have to leave for other responsibilities. And following that, Councillor Tordjman will give a report on District 6 and District 8.0. And then I will give a report on District 2. There's a lot going on. And the other 8.5, we can call it. So I'll turn it over to Councillor Tordjman for a few remarks. David?
Thank you, Councillor Cohen, and thank you, Mayor Brownstein. It's an interesting time, and this opportunity to speak live to all of our residents and have the chat going live on a stream is an interesting way to communicate with everybody. So I'm looking forward to having this opportunity to share and to hear from all the residents. I've had district meetings before, They're interesting. Hopefully we're going to get some good participation tonight from many residents, not only the 3 districts, but any questions are all valid, and looking forward to hearing from everybody. Thank you.
And the good thing about this format, David, is that it's on YouTube. Thank you, Darryl Levine. It's on YouTube. So those who are watching it live tonight, it's live. You can ask actual questions, but it's going to be on YouTube and people can watch it for days, weeks, months, and years to come. Now, we have a little time before Carol Dudak joins us. So I think I'll take the opportunity, if it's okay with him, to let Mayor Brownstein give his COVID update right now, if that's okay. And Carol Dudak will join us when she's on. Darryl Levine, just kind of give her a message that, she can wait for Mayor Brownstein to conclude. So Mitchell, would you like to proceed?
Sure. Thank you, Councillor Cohen and Councillor Tordjman. It's wonderful to be here today. I think this is a great initiative. All your town halls are always a wonderful thing, and to be able to participate is terrific. It's unfortunate we can't meet in person, but thanks to technology, this is, I guess, the next best thing. So it's been an active time in Côte Saint-Luc. It's certainly not the type of situation that any of us expected to be in when we ran for office at any time in our career, but it's a new reality. It's a new time, and we're all adjusting, and we want to do it well. We want to open up our city in a safe way. First of all, I'll talk about some of the openings and how we're trying to do it, and then I'll talk about the bylaw that we passed on Monday. So we're opening things according to the recommendations of the Direction de Santé Publique. They tell us pretty much at the same time that you hear it, what we can open. So because we only receive the news, usually at 1 o'clock during Mr. Legault's announcement, we can't necessarily open the next day. But what we want to do is open those things that the Santé Publique says are safe to open, and we want to do it safer than anyone else. So if they're suggesting signage or hand sanitizing dispensers, signs talking about social distancing, we want to put that all in. So we open tennis, and golf is open, and the swimming pool should be ready to open Jean-Baptiste weekend. But as I said, things aren't the way they used to be. So now you're going to have to call for an appointment when you want to go swimming. We're going to have lap swim in the morning and the evening, but when it's family time, you're going to have little circles on the grass where each family is going to have a number, and they're going to be able to sit. And in the pool, we're going to have certain areas also marked off per family, and you're going to have a reservation for an hour, because we need to encourage people to socially distance and that families have to stay together. So we want everyone to have a fun time and to cool off, but it's certainly a work in process. We're encouraging people not to use the bathrooms, although if there's an emergency, one person will be able to go in at a time, and then we're going to have to disinfect. So these are the type of things we're dealing with respect to all openings. We are talking about many other possible openings over the summer. We're definitely opening our playgrounds. That's the next green light we had, but we also want people to take responsibility, first of all, on their own to ensure that their families social distance, as they have been last week when we had the heat wave and we opened the splash parks. And we will expect the same for our playgrounds. And everybody should be having hand sanitizer in their pocket, in addition to the fact that at every door of every building where we have a chalet and so forth, there will be the installation of hand sanitizing dispensers, but that also takes time. For our library, it's opening June 15th, and that will give people the ability to take out books. It's not a full opening, it's phase 1. Our city hall is opening around the same time, plexiglass is being installed everywhere, hand sanitizer, washing stations, all kinds of things. So maintenant, je vais parler un peu de le nouveau règlement qu'on a déclaré en loi ce lundi et comment ça fonctionne. Maintenant, on a 2 semaines, les commerces ont 2 semaines pour nous donner un programme qui explique comment ils vont le faire. Parce qu'ils ont une obligation de mettre l'affichage et on va lui donner l'affichage qui explique exactement que chaque personne qui entre dans les commerces doit porter un couvre-visage. Et aussi, il doit avoir des questions avant des personnes qui entrent et des dispenseurs pour les salutations. So basically, it's a bylaw primarily that deals with commerce. It's a bylaw that puts the obligation on the owner of a business to ensure that people who come into the store wear a mask. If they have a medical condition, they have an exemption. There won't be a request for doctor's notes. They'll have a puffer or something else, or they might have a physical handicap. And those individuals are encouraged, if they can, to wear a visor. But the purpose of this all, as I've been speaking to now, it's been picked up by national media today, and I've had interviews on television, radio, and in the news. It was in the National Post across the country. And the feeling that I've been receiving back from everyone who's interviewed me and the medical experts on the shows that I've been on is very positive, because the message is we want our economy to flourish. We all need our economy to flourish. And the only way that the economy is going to be able to get back on its feet and people are going to be able to make a living is if people, the general population, feels secure when they go shopping. That's number one. So in order to feel secure when you go shopping, if everybody else is wearing a mask, you're going to feel much more secure, and the chance of transmission of the virus is much smaller. So this is the basis of our program. It's the obligation for due diligence by the store owner to ensure that people put on masks. Some might get through refusing, but if they're using their due diligence, they're not getting fined. We're going to provide some disposables for businesses, and we're ensuring that those who are who really need them, that can afford reusables, the members of our community that really can't afford reusables, we're going to give it to those individuals, reusable masks. So the response that I'm getting is very positive. I think this is the way to go. We're also having this law applied to our municipal buildings, and there should not be a problem for anyone, because we're going to be having masks for anybody who doesn't have one when they enter our municipal buildings. So I don't see any individual getting a fine, because we're going to have somebody at the door saying, please put on a mask. If you don't have one, here is one. So it's not against the individual, and it's primarily to ensure that, in my hope, by July 1st, everybody has a reusable mask in their pocket. And I think they will. And the other thing that I'm pretty sure is going to happen, because what's happening already in Ottawa on June 15th, is the public transit network will be requiring the wearing of masks. So they'll be the second jurisdiction to require masks in a certain area on public transit, which we want to happen here in Quebec as well, because we know that, you know, a lot of the workers that go into our senior homes and into our hospitals take that transit. And I do believe that hopefully by the end of the month, the other municipalities and the province will come up with the rules that probably will go a lot further than what we've done here in Côte Saint-Luc. It's the first step. Our bylaw also requires signage in condos and apartment buildings recommending the wearing of masks when they're in common areas or elevators, and the implementation of hand sanitizing dispensers either in elevators or outside them. So we're really working together to make sure that this opening of the economy, of our enjoyment of life, happens, and that we get to continue to do it. We don't want winter to come along and our seniors who cannot be locked up, we want them to be able to go into our malls, which will be open by then, and feel safe that everybody else is wearing a mask. Our seniors cannot live indefinitely in their apartments. We need to find a way to make it safe for them to have a life during this period. And our bylaw is only for 3 months, renewable after 3 months if needed, because like I've been saying on the media today, you can't smoke when you go in a store because you don't want to infect others. You don't want them to get cancer. You can't wear a seatbelt. You must wear a seatbelt. You must wear a bike helmet. There are rules that elected officials must do to help the population protect others and themselves. And that's all we're doing, is helping the population protect others and themselves for not forever. This is hopefully for a short time, but it will be in place either by us or other levels of government if we don't have to anymore because it's provincial law, until there's an immunity or a vaccine. So that's the plan, and I'm sure it's going to be the new normal across Canada and around the world, and hopefully we will not have another wave as a result of good governance by ourselves, each individual being responsible, following the rules of washing your hands, keeping social distancing, and wearing masks.
Thank you, Mayor Brownstein. Si les personnes avaient les questions en français, on pourrait ajouter les questions dans la section de chat. So people can write their questions in English and French. We can answer them in the language of choice. Si le conseiller Tordjman voudrait donner quelques mots en français sur les masques, David?
Okay, rapidement alors. Alors le règlement qu'on vient de passer pour le port des masques, c'est une obligation de les porter dans les commerces. Le but, c'est de protéger la population qui visite les commerces également. On oblige aux commerçants d'avoir une station où on peut se laver les mains avec du savon et de l'eau ou avec de l'alcool. Et également pour les immeubles et les condominiums, là, on veut qu'il y ait une installation des règlements qui sont postés sur un mur qui soit visible pour tout le monde et qui a accès à une station de se laver les mains également ou de l'alcool aux entrées de garage et également ou dans les ascenseurs ou en avant des ascenseurs. Et ceci est pour éliminer le contact. C'est le point chaud où tout le monde touche un bouton, touche une rampe, touche quelque chose. Alors, c'est les points importants où on devrait avoir une station d'alcool pour se laver les mains. Pour le port des masques dans le public, à l'extérieur, c'est une recommandation seulement. Et spécialement si on peut pas garder la distanciation sociale, je m'excuse. Alors c'est là qu'un port du masque serait une bonne chose, mais c'est qu'une recommandation de la part de ce conseil qu'on porte des masques là où on peut pas rester d'une distance sociale avec les autres.
Okay, thank you, David. Just a couple of questions, and we will be, Carol Dudak is being patient. We will be joining her shortly for the equinox in the Montefiore. Now, we're not going to answer every question in the chat, but we're going to acknowledge every one of them and make sure we get it to the proper staff person. But there are a couple. So Mayor Brownstein, I'm just looking over, so turning my cheek here, that people are, one person is asking why we would need hand sanitizers on each floor of residential buildings. Having sanitizers at all entrances should be enough. Your comment on that?
Well, there's a choice. We're not making it every floor. There's an option of having the hand sanitizer dispenser in the elevator, which would mean if you have 2 elevators in a building, you need 2 hand sanitizing dispensers. Because we know when you're in an elevator, you're going to push the buttons, you're going to want to wash your hands before you go in, particularly when you come out. Of course, we hope that everyone has a little hand sanitizing bottle in their pocket, like I always do. I mean, I have one with me at all times. But if you don't, we want to provide that. So to ensure there's no spread. That's, somebody coughs or sneezes in the elevator and you touch the button, you better wash your hands.
Okay, and just turning my head again, Joel Goldenberg from the Suburban wants to know, Mr. Mayor, what is your reaction to the World Health Organization's determination that if you are healthy, you only need to wear a mask if you are taking care of a person with COVID-19?
Well, we met with many doctors to discuss the benefits of masks. And there's the medical community, a very strong movement in the medical community that wearing masks is the way to stop transmission of the virus, particularly when you're indoors. Because when you have something covering your face, you might not go like this quick enough. You're ensuring that you're not going to transmit. Even if you're asymptomatic, often you can transmit virus. And if you're indoors for a long time and there's somebody asymptomatic with you, particularly when we open up our library, for example, and you may be in there for 3 or 4 hours, let's say the magic number is 1,000 particles that you need to inhale. That's going to be in the air. You can get 200-300 every hour, and after 3-4 hours, you can be infected. So wearing a mask is the only way to ensure, particularly when you're inside, that you'll stay safer.
Okay, Mayor Brownstein, I'm going to go to one more question. And I know, like I said, the focus of this is to be a district meeting, but people had asked for a COVID update. So we're giving it one last question for now, and the rest we'll respond to appropriately. Are condominiums and apartment buildings required to allow non-essential workers to buildings such as personal trainers or private physiotherapists, cleaners, etc.? And I just want to mention to anyone who's making comments that these are questions I'm getting from a lot of my buildings in District 2. Most of my constituents are in buildings, so it's very much a district issue. Mayor Brownstein?
Right. Well, things change every day. So what I hear based on the latest regulations is it used to be that you really needed to have a caregiver. You were allowed all the time. I mean, it was never that if you were a sick person and you couldn't function without somebody that you were allowed. But now cleaning ladies and cleaning personnel are allowed in the building. The exact list of non-essential workers that are allowed in the building, I don't have in front of me, but I do know that cleaning ladies, based on David Birnbaum's office, because it is all provincial, sending us emails on a regular basis, they're allowed.
OK. Il y a une question en français. Je pense que c'est important de laisser cette question. Mayor Brownstein, comment avez-vous établi les critères pour les règlements sur les masques? Avez-vous reçu des critères du gouvernement provincial? Avez-vous consulté des experts? Citez-les, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, on a une grande liste. Dr. Mark Cohen et ses collègues qui sont dans le groupe Masks 4, le numéro 4, Canada. Si vous faites le Google de Masks numéro 4, Canada, vous pouvez trouver beaucoup de littérature au sujet des raisons pour lesquelles on doit porter des masques. Aussi, je suis en contact toujours avec Dr. Kaiser de la direction de santé publique et on entend chaque jour à 1h quand M. Legault dit que tout le monde doit porter le masque aussitôt qu'il sort de la maison. C'est accepté maintenant au Québec que le port de masque est une bonne chose et notre règlement est basé sur les résultats positifs des autres pays. Par exemple, en Israël maintenant, ils ont une population équivalente du Québec, mais ils ont 17 000 cas au lieu de 50 000 cas. Et si on regarde, ils portent le masque, c'est obligatoire. Et si on regarde Japon, qui est une population 6 fois plus grande que Québec, ils ont les mêmes statistiques que Israël parce qu'ils sont très sévères en leur règlement pour le port de masque. Oui, certainement, on a consulté cette information et vous pouvez le voir. Beaucoup d'informations sur cette question, si vous voulez le lire, sur Masks for Canada.
Okay, I thank you very much, Mayor Brownstein, and you can stick around before you go to your next engagement. And I think it was important to start off with COVID. We will be having a COVID-19 town hall to be announced soon, exclusively on COVID. So thank you, Mayor Brownstein. I'd like to now invite Carol Dudak, who will talk about the equinox and the Montefiore. Just so you know, the Montefiore actually opened for business on Monday. Carol can tell us we actually have my newest constituents who are now living there, I think on the top 5 floors. So Carol, thank you for being with us. And if you could give us a timeline on, the update on the Montefiore, and then please tell us, everyone wants to know, tuning in the equinox, where we're at, where it's going, when it's going to be finished. Thank you, Carol.
Sure. Hi, Mike. So yeah, like as you said, Montefiore has been open and has been receiving our first move-ins as of Monday. So we're leasing up pretty well, pretty quickly. The building shall be substantially finished, all the little deficiencies, by June 15th. We've done as you've seen, we're starting to do all the outside work. So we were about a month late delivery, but we were able to catch up and deliver for June. As for Chagall, so the equinox on Chagall, that is set to be delivered for November 1st. That's our official delivery date. So the building should be substantially completed by beginning to mid-August, but we're now taking reservations for November 1st move-ins. So we've started leasing as of last week. The exterior should be completed within the next month, I would say. And then we'll be working on the interior units.
Okay. Yeah, now, Carol, just some questions that we have. First one is somebody who lives in the Equinox wants to know why people are not, is upset that the number of people who are not wearing masks in the elevator. What can be done about that? That's the first question.
In Equinox, in the building,
Yeah, the building,
in phase one?
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, what we've done is we have signage, we have extra, disinfectant at the entrance. So we're following all the guidelines. We can suggest that people wear masks, but we can't force people to wear masks. We have extra cleaning crews that are cleaning the anywhere that is being touched, so the elevators and door handles and things like that. We are doing extra cleaning, but we can't force people to wear masks if they don't want to.
Okay, thank you. Next question is from Sydney Margulies. A question I'm getting a lot of use. First of all, why are the workers not using the parking lot that was put up for the let for them, and instead are parking from 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Marc Chagall and Mackle?
Again, we've given them all instructions to use the parking lot. I think what has made it maybe more difficult is now we've had our precast delivery, so we had the big trailers in and out of that parking lot. Within the next 2 weeks, that should be finished. So we will make sure that all the workers go back to parking their cars in that parking lot as it was intended. Okay,
and the next question is that's come to me earlier, which I've talked to you about before, is the workers showing up 5:30, 6:30 in the morning. We're only allowed to do it at 7. What can we do to try to, I know that will become less of a problem soon because almost all the work will be interior, but how can we deter that?
I mean, it's an ongoing battle, Mike. We are on the same page on that. We give out instructions at our weekly meetings. Every time I've been told that they've started earlier, we try and find out who it is. So what we've done now is we are starting to ticket people if we find out that they're starting earlier. Again, I have a security guys on site that stop them if they see that they're starting earlier. We really are putting as much emphasis on them starting at 7 o'clock as possible.
Okay, and the other thing was asked about the water that is flowing from the pipe still. It's still coming out onto the street. Do we know if that's going to stop at a certain point?
I will look into that. Honestly, I'm not aware. I know that we sent a crew to clean up the street recently. I know that we had set a sedimentation barrier to make sure that the water is clean water that's being pumped. But I will double check and see when that's being connected. Okay, so just to clarify, and it was very helpful what you said. So it's really good news because it's moving along faster than I thought. And that means that what needs to be done in the next, well, I guess the next 2 months? What specifically are they're closing up? Like you said, in 2 weeks, all those big pieces of pavement are going to be inserted into the building and they won't need to be stored anymore? Yeah, so the precast should be finalized within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then we will close up. We're following pretty closely with the windows, and then it's all interior work.
Okay, and okay, that's good. And then I think that the other question, I guess, is sort of similar, is that there's trailers that are left on the street in front of the townhouses on Marc Chagall. The residents have complained about it. They've gotten tickets. Is that going to be less of a problem too now because of the precast schedule?
Well, we won't have trailers within the next couple of weeks. We will no longer be getting shipments of panels because we'll be finished. And again, we advise them on a continuous basis that they are not to park these trailers other than in the parking lot that's for that purpose.
Okay. Caroline, est-ce que vous pourrez dire quelques mots en français sur le projet?
Oui, absolument. En termes d'échéancier de livraison?
Oui.
Donc, comme je viens de mentionner, nous sommes présentement en train de finaliser l'installation du precast extérieur. Donc, l'enveloppe extérieure devrait, en termes de precast, devrait être terminée dans les 3 prochaines semaines. D'ici un mois à peu près, on devrait avoir pas mal terminé l'enveloppe extérieure. La livraison en tant que telle du bâtiment présentement devrait se faire à partir du 1er novembre pour les premiers locataires qui pourraient rentrer au bâtiment. À partir de début octobre, le bâtiment devrait quand même être substantiellement terminé. Mais on accepte des réservations à partir du 1er novembre pour l'instant.
Okay, excellent. And I think, you know, a lot of the questions we get, hopefully people are going to get some relief once that is done. I know when Equinox 1 got to this stage, it was a big relief for all of us. And I guess also part of your commitment as well is the land which you're using as a temporary parking lot. I guess next spring, because you'll be finished in November, you'll be turning it back to green space. That's a commitment that you made.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, well, we'll have a big celebration. We'll have a
Absolutely.
big
So as soon as we're done, if it could be done in November, it will be done in November. But yes, worst case, it will be next spring.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if the mayor has any questions that he wants to ask the Equinox before we let Carol go.
We get a lot of complaints about parking and taking up space and construction before hours. And I fail to understand why we continually get those complaints. I mean, it's been going on for a long time, and we try to send our public security officers to make sure contractors show up on time and that they follow the rules, and they get repeated. And I don't know who's running the show, because we keep on having these meetings and going over, and it gets a little bothersome to receive these calls all the time. So the rules are clear, and my question is, how can you ensure that they're followed? They're not that complicated.
I understand, and if it was, you know, me that's doing the work personally, it's pretty clear. The rules are pretty clear, and I would have made sure to start at 7 o'clock. The thing is, I have 100 men to control on site, and unfortunately, I'm not holding their hands one by one. What we are doing is we've also instilled, above and beyond your ticketing you know, system, we are ticketing them. We are ticketing their bosses. We are sending them, you know, fees so that this stops happening. I have my security agent that runs around and makes sure that nobody is working. But if he's downstairs on the ground floor and somebody happens to be on the 7th floor making noise, by the time he gets up to the 7th floor, I mean, we're continuously doing this. We talk about this every single site meeting. So it's definitely a concern. It's not that we're ignoring the rules, or we don't want to abide by the rules, or, you know, phase 1, Equinox, phase 1 is still my building. So the people that are living there, I don't want to get complaints from them more than you want to get complaints for them, right? We want them to be living in a peaceful environment just as much as you do. So I guarantee you that, and parking is an ongoing issue that we deal with all the time.
Right. Well, the solution would be for you to have one person there all the time that anybody can go to and speak to them, so they don't have to speak to me. They're right there, and there's a complaint by a resident or a problem, they go right to that person who is the manager of operations. He's right on site all the time, and he can deal with the problem himself. That would be great.
We do. I have a person on site there. The same person is there on site all the time, and we have a building manager that's also there on site all the time.
Yeah, and I'll say that the building manager, Oren, has been very good. I've worked with him the last few months, and he's been very responsive. So listen, let's hope they can be Boy Scouts for the next couple of weeks, Carol. And then once we get to the less intrusive stage, I think everyone will be a lot more relaxed, less trucks coming and less movement. So I want to thank you very much. I know you're very accessible, and we do meet with the committee of people living on Marc Chagall. I know a lot of people on this call are not living on Marc Chagall, so we'll continue. We'll have another update Zoom meeting just with those the residents from the condo in the next few weeks, I hope. So thank you very much for joining us.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Thank you, Mike.
All right,
Bye.
take care. All right, thank you. Okay, and
Bye.
thank you, Mayor Brownstein. Thank you, Mayor Brownstein. And I'm now going to turn it over to Councillor Tordjman. Now, people are asking questions about a variety of different things on the chat section right now, about Côte Saint-Luc in general, about District 8, District 6, District 2. We'll get to all those questions. David's going to give an update on District 6. I'm going to give an update on District 2. And David's going to have an update on the development in District 8, and then we will answer questions. So David, go ahead.
Alors, bonjour encore. Hello, everybody. If you hear a baby crying in the background, it might be Mike's. I'm not sure. Or it might be mine.
Mine is 22. So it could be my cat, Cleopatra, who's 10.
So I apologize. This is the new reality of working from home. These things happen sometimes. They're interesting times, des temps très intéressants. Et évidemment, il y a beaucoup de changements dans la vie de tout le monde. Je sais que personnellement, je fais beaucoup de bénévolat ces temps-ci. Ça me garde occupé, ça me donne une joie de partager avec des autres et de rencontrer beaucoup des citoyens et citoyennes, non seulement dans le district, mais dans la ville au complet. So, you know, in these tough times, we all have to find something that makes us a little bit more sane. And my actions have been to volunteer a lot more. I've been actively getting involved with community groups and doing quite a bit within my district and community as a whole. So I urge you, you know, if you have the time, and I know these are difficult times, to put out that effort. It's a great reward for yourself, and it changes the lives of other people as well. Today, as part of the city's campaign to make masks accessible, we delivered masks to low-income housing in various parts of the city. Some councillors did it in their district. I did it today. And that will be ongoing in the next few days. Alors, il y a une distribution de masques pour les citoyens de Côte Saint-Luc qui sont à faible revenu. Alors, on a fait des livraisons, des conseillers ont fait des livraisons eux-mêmes dans les derniers jours, et moi-même aussi. Je l'ai fait aujourd'hui sur Caldwell, et on va continuer à faire ceci pendant les prochains jours. Demain, en face du IGA et Pharmaprix, on va être là à 11h pour une distribution de masques pour les personnes qui vont rentrer à IGA et Pharmaprix. So tomorrow, 11 o'clock, we'll be handing out masks at 11 o'clock in front of the IGA and Pharmaprix for clients of both businesses. So it's part of an ongoing efforts for the city to make masks accessible for those who want to wear them. Obviously, they're required in businesses, but accessible for the larger population. Some of my portfolios, some of the things I've been doing, I have two portfolios. One is the library, the other one is engineering. I also have the traffic portfolio, and I sit on the Planning Advisory Committee, which is the committee that approves, reviews rather, all plans for new construction and new projects. Alors, des portfolios que j'ai sous ma charge sont la bibliothèque, l'ingénierie, également le portfolio de trafic, circulation, et également le comité de planification pour les nouvelles constructions, nouveaux permis à la ville de Côte Saint-Luc. Alors, il y a énormément de questions, des questions sur la circulation, des questions sur la bibliothèque. Juste pour vous répéter, dès le 15 juin, la bibliothèque va être ouverte par rendez-vous seulement. Ça veut dire que vous enregistrez sur le site web de la bibliothèque, vous commandez vos livres et il va y avoir un système de réservation pour venir et prendre vos livres. Il y a énormément de programmes qui sont disponibles sur le site web de la bibliothèque, que ce soit des discussions avec des auteurs, des cours. Il y a énormément de choses pour les adultes et les enfants. Alors, je vous prie d'aller visiter le site web de la bibliothèque Eleanor London. So just to repeat quickly in English, the Eleanor London Public Library has a tremendous amount of resources available on the web. There are great programs for adults and kids. speakers and book talks, and the staff has been doing a tremendous job in making the library accessible virtually. As of June 15th, there will be a reservation system, so you can reserve your books, and there'll be a pickup time for which you'll have to go and pick up your book. So it's you won't be able to browse the library, but you'll be able to get your books. And I know many residents have been calling me on that. So I'm very happy that that's going to be happening very soon. In terms of an update on the district itself, there's a large building that will be going up on Freud. That's in District 8, 8.0, as Councillor Cohen refers to it. It's an 8-story building that has been approved. It was zoned for that. So there was no real way for the city to stop that kind of project. But we worked with the residents, and it was Councillor Kovac at the time that had meetings with the residents, and we all met with the developers and made sure that the building fit in as well as possible in the setting that it's going to be in. Alors l'immeuble, un nouvel immeuble qui va être construit sur la rue Freud, un immeuble de 8 étages, et comme je disais, le zonage permettait une telle construction. Alors, il n'y avait aucune manière d'arrêter le projet, mais on a travaillé avec les développeurs pour s'assurer que la construction avait une intégration avec la communauté qui l'entourait. Alors, ils n'ont pas de permis encore, mais on travaille avec eux pour avoir une sortie charretière qui va donner sur Cavendish. Alors, la sortie de leur garage va donner sur la rue Cavendish, et évidemment, ça va alléger énormément le trafic qui serait sur Freud ou Louis Pasteur. So just to clarify, the garage entrance and exit will be on Cavendish as opposed to on Freud or Louis Pasteur. So that'll reduce significantly the amount of traffic in and out of the building on the smaller streets. On other subjects, you know, on traffic, we've been working on traffic speed reduction measures. We've installed speed bumps on various streets, and we've been monitoring many streets. So anytime we get a complaint, we monitor that complaint, be it through speed verification, or we have volunteers that check out certain things. But we also meet with the police, we meet with public security, and our specialists internally to make sure that we come up with the best solutions to solve traffic problems. Obviously, we want to direct traffic mostly to our collectors like Mackle and Guelph and Kildare, but we do have some traffic issues on our residential smaller streets. During these times where there's a lot of children that are out, I'm urging absolutely everybody to pay extra attention, drive a little bit slower. It's so important. There's many people outside, as you can attest to, and we're doing what we can to reduce the speed. We're working on some other programs that we're hoping to roll out soon that'll include activities for children and adults. And so, you know, I'm hoping that those will help, but please pay extra attention. And if you're on your bike, it's a bylaw in Côte Saint-Luc that you have to wear your helmet. You can get a ticket for it, but more importantly, it can save your life. So I urge you, please, to wear your helmet and make sure your children wear theirs as well and wear it properly. Alors juste un petit point sur les casques sur les bicyclettes, je vous prie s'il vous plaît de les porter, c'est tellement important, ça peut sauver votre vie et ceux de vos enfants. Alors s'il vous plaît, assurez qu'ils les portent et les portent bien. Et évidemment, il y a énormément de circulation de piétonniers et également des enfants dans les rues. Dans ces temps-ci, il n'y a pas de camp, il n'y a pas d'école. Alors, je vous prie, prenez le temps. Il n'y a aucune urgence à se rendre où on s'en va ces jours. Alors, prenez les quelques minutes de plus et ralentissez la circulation, s'il vous plaît. I see a lot of questions that are scrolling. I haven't been able to read them while I'm talking to you, but I'll certainly loop back in a few moments and we'll be certainly talking about some of those questions. Mike, there's one on Cavendish. I don't know if you want to talk about that. So go through some of the questions now, or after your.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll share the questions afterwards. But David, je demande votre position sur les élections partielles.
So, ça serait super d'avoir un autre conseiller. Évidemment, le Rutkovac nous manque. C'était une personne très appréciée sur le conseil et à la ville. Et avec son absence inattendue, évidemment, on aimerait avoir quelqu'un qui se joint à l'équipe, mais ce n'est pas dans nos mains, c'est dans les mains de la province. C'est eux qui ont mis tout arrêt sur les élections partielles. On demande d'aller de l'avant, mais ce n'est pas dans nos mains. Et il y a plusieurs élections mi-terme ou partielles plutôt au Québec. Ils sont tous en attente. Alors, j'espère avoir une réponse bientôt et être capable d'avoir des élections et avoir une autre personne sur notre équipe bientôt.
Okay, thank you, David. So I'll give an update on District 2. Just as I said, I've been doing walks through the district, the entire district, about 5 days a week now. I'm walking carefully with a mask when necessary, keeping my distance, but I'm talking to constituents on their balconies, from their porches, people walking, social distancing and stopping to talk to me. People, of course, email me. I have a blog at mikecohen.ca. I have my own Facebook page. So and I started a podcast. I'm trying to communicate. We're always available, but as my close advisor, Tamar, stated, these type of town halls by Zoom are very good. And yes, you're right, Tamar, they should continue after COVID. And I think that this will be part of the new normal. So just an update, il y a de construction on the avenue. We know that the building was constructed several years ago. And finally, they're completing the promised renovations. This is the building across from the Quartier Cavendish and Marissa Seidel's former cafe, which Marissa, we miss dearly. They're completing all of the promised renovations. The parking lot, the grass, the garage entrance is going to be done soon. And il a ajouté deux nouvelles appartements résidentiels. So 2 new residential apartments are going to be built on the ground floor. And the other part is zoned commercial. So we hope that eventually we'll have some commercial tenants there as well. We'll have to see how that goes. The tennis courts on Rembrandt reopened on May 29th and on Caldwell in Councillor Tordjman's district. So that's good news. People are asking me speed bumps, when will they be installed? Public Works has been installing bollards on bike paths and pedestrian walkways. Public Works has been so busy lately. They're over their heads right now and short-staffed. So we're hoping the speed bumps will come soon. Councillor Tordjman, do you have any answer on the speed bumps? Any update for me on that?
Well, it's a discussion that we have to have, but it's of course increasing our staffing because with the COVID situation, obviously we are significantly short-staffed. So we have to look at increasing that staff so we can address a lot of the issues that we're having. It's certain we need to move on some of these issues. So the sooner the better.
Okay, thank you. And regarding the snow dump, people have asked me, when will the snow dump be chopped down? Well, you know, the weather has not been very consistent. We had, 40 degrees, then it went down to 2 degrees. It's got to be consistently 22 degrees plus on a regular basis for the company to send the machines in to start chopping it up. So Public Works has informed me they're hoping that they can get this done by the end of the month and get that mountain to disappear until next winter. Potholes, getting a lot of call about potholes, and Public Works is doing their best to fill them. In terms of street cleaning, I'm getting a lot of calls. Some streets are clean, some are not clean enough. Again, I have to defend our Public Works department. The work is overwhelming they're doing, and they're getting to as many streets as they can. And I know I got a call from neighbors on my own street today asking when is it going to be clean. It's on the list. We have to prioritize. In terms of
sorry, Councillor Cohen, I just want to add one element, and I know I'm opening up a can of worms here. The street sweepers, 3 of them, plus a MadVac, one of those mobile vacuum cleaners, have been out for weeks. As soon as it was allowed, we had them out, and they've been doing a tremendous amount of work. We had a parking allowance for on-street parking, which resulted in a significant amount more of cars parked on the streets that don't move, and that's unfortunately affected the capacity to clean all of the streets effectively. But I know we've done the tour of the city a couple of times. Hopefully they'll be able to do another tour. It takes some time after the spring, and we had a rainstorm, a lot of branches and leaves were blown down. So I'm certain that they'll get back to it soon.
Okay, I'm getting a lot of calls, Councillor Tordjman, because his mom lives there, built the Excelsior building. They had terrible ventilation noise. Thank you to our urban planning who went to speak to them. It's been corrected, so no more noise. Thank you for that. Leonard Cohen Lane, people ask me about getting that cleaned up a little bit better. It's on the list for Public Works, and I'm checking it every time I do my daily walks. In terms of pools, Councillor Brownstein already said that the Parkhaven pool will reopen with severe restrictions. As for condos and apartments, I'm getting a lot of calls from constituents asking, can pools, est-ce que les piscines pourraient ouvrir dans les appartements et les condominiums? The answer is the Quebec government still hasn't actually given permission for that. When they do, though, we've gotten a sneak peek of the rules that they'll have to carry out. It's going to be very difficult for small apartment buildings and for outdoor condo pools to follow these rules. It's going to be expensive. It's going to need security. So we're going to wait for those rules. Ultimately, it'll be up to the condo and the apartment to decide whether to open or not. It won't be us saying yes or no. If they're allowed to open, they will have to follow the guidelines set forward by the Quebec government. And hopefully those are going to come out very soon. But I know some condos have decided already they're not going to open because it's going to be just too difficult to police. And frankly, my opinion, I'm very worried about the pool situation. I think it's an accident waiting to happen, not because of the water in the pool, but can we social distance people coming and touching the same chair, touching the same fence, using the same bathrooms, kids jumping on each other in the pool. I know measures are being taken. I'm uncomfortable with it, but we'll have to see how that goes. And so I think, yes. Oh, yes. One last thing I want to bring up is Goldberg Park. Is it or Goldberg Park? Now, last fall, we Public Works did a marvelous job on reforming that park, getting rid of a lot of the bushes, building a pathway or the beginning of a pathway from Marc Chagall, and making it much easier to access. Unfortunately, COVID came along, but as of today, they were actually doing some work. I spoke to one of my residents, Sir Walter Scott, who's my lieutenant for Sir Walter Scott, and he's been observing. He's got some concerns about dirt and garbage on the street and spring cleaning. So I'll be speaking to Public Works about that tomorrow. But I thank him, Alexander, who's a fantastic constituent, and I will call him the pro mayor of Sir Walter Scott. So I think we'll turn to questions. While I was talking, Councillor Tordjman, are there some questions you want to tackle from the chat box?
Sure. There was, there's certainly a few, but I'll read one out. What is the City of CSL's position on allowing recreational leagues to play at Trudeau Park's fields once it is allowed, and how long will it take? That was all in caps. We do not think a big retrofitting will be necessary. So it's a great question. Our recreation staff has been working day and night, and I mean that. They've been doing a tremendous amount of work in getting things ready in light of the ever-changing rules. I'm going to go back and forth in French. I hope that's fine. Je vais juste répéter un peu. La question est pour les activités récréationnelles organisées dans le parc Trudeau. Alors, notre département de récréation travaille d'une manière incroyable pour se préparer pour ouvrir certaines activités. Les règles changent d'une journée à l'autre. Alors, c'est difficile d'avoir une date fixe, mais dès que c'est possible d'avoir des activités organisées dans le parc, ça va être fait. So the organized leagues are not yet, from my understanding, and Councillor Cohen can correct me, are not yet permitted.
Correct.
So that is an issue that we have, and we can't contradict provincial rulings. But we are working with our recreation department on having certain activities, be it pickleball or other activities with a smaller number of people involved, so that people can get active. Being active when it's nice out does tremendous amount of good for our mental well-being, physical well-being as well. I know I've put on a couple of pounds being home for these times. So getting out is important, and I think it's our duty as a city to make sure that we can give access to as many activities as possible. So in time is my answer. Unfortunately, a lot of it depends on the provincial ruling. So we're going to have to wait for that. But we're not waiting to start. We're getting things ready in the back so that as soon as the regulations change and we are permitted, it'll be a go. So I'm looking forward to that.
A question, you can give your answer as well, Councillor Tordjman. Someone asking about whether COVID has delayed the Cavendish extension. Well, of course, we don't have a date for that yet. However, it all depends on when they start building housing in Blue Bonnets. And in my opinion, right now, every municipality in the world is going to be facing multi-million-dollar deficits. And we need construction within reason, to start so that we can get the economy rolling again. I hope that Montreal will see the need to properly move on the Blue Bonnets development because that will bring in increased tax dollars to the city, and as well, it'll speed up the Cavendish extension. Avez-vous un commentaire, Councillor Tordjman, sur ça?
Oui, comme notre ami Monsieur Etman dit toujours, when Mashiach arrive, quand Mashiach arrive, it's certainly more than on our radar. We've been working actively with various government agencies in pushing for a Cavendish extension. It runs through District 8, but it's a necessary route for all Côte Saint-Luc residents and will be a tremendous relief in terms of traffic and be good for the environment. Access to public transit will be increased. So a positive move, I believe. Alors, l'extension de Cavendish est nécessaire pour l'accès au transport en commun, pour l'environnement et pour l'accès à nos citoyens de circuler dans une manière plus allégée. Alors, c'est quelque chose qui est important pour tous les citoyens de Côte Saint-Luc.
Okay, we have a question as well asking if camps are allowed to open in private backyards and other private outdoor spaces. That's something, again, that first of all, I don't believe they're allowed to open in backyards. Although I suppose it really is up to the Quebec government criteria because they're allowing camps to reopen. We're not reopening our camp in Côte Saint-Luc. I don't know, Councillor Tordjman, if you have a response to that.
You have it. C'est les camps de jour à Côte Saint-Luc. La décision a été prise bien en avance de ne pas les ouvrir pour la sécurité de notre staff. Les enfants, et beaucoup d'entre eux, c'est des enfants, nos enfants qui sont gardiens dans la ville, dans les camps de jour de Côte Saint-Luc, et également pour la sécurité des enfants. On voulait s'assurer qu'il y a un bon niveau de sécurité et dans notre avis, ce n'était pas possible de bien le faire et sécuritairement à Côte Saint-Luc. Alors, c'était notre décision de ne pas les ouvrir.
Brenda Epstein has a question for your side of District 8, Councillor Tordjman, and I'm sure the two candidates are eager for this answer as well. They wanted to know if we first she's hearing of a consultation regarding the building going up across the street from her on Freud. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we were planning to have some sort of information session. The consultation is not required. This was in the zoning. This is very similar to the Equinox. And I know someone else asked the question of, are the people on Freud going to suffer the same problems as we're suffering on the Equinox? And trust me, we've been dealing with the Equinox disturbances now for over 3 years, and it's just reality. A council long before Councillor Tordjman and I were there approved the zoning for the Equinox. They approved it for this building on Freud. but I believe we are looking at having some kind of information meeting, and perhaps we can suggest that there would be, and this, we're not doing any live meetings right now, maybe there could be a Zoom consultation on that in the very near future.
It's a good point. So like Councillor Cohen mentioned, there was no need for a public consultation, as there would be if there was a change of zoning. So just to explain, because I see some of the questions about keeping the area next to that building as green space. When somebody owns a plot of land that has a zoning, it's extremely difficult, near impossible, for the city to unilaterally change the zoning and not allow the builder the rights that he has on his land. So this building allowed for a second building on the same lot. And so he exercised that right. And so the construction, like I mentioned earlier, there was certainly discussion on the design, the size, and the integration to the area. I know at the time, Councillor Kovac did have meetings with some residents. I know there were a few meetings, more than one. I believe it was only two, but there were concerns that were expressed, and there's some back and forth. So I don't know how widely it was published within the district or on the street, but I know that discussion did happen. So to go to the green space, the city wouldn't have been able to take it over, as it were, and force a green space. We would have had to pay tremendous amount of money to the building owner to not to develop the land, and it would never make sense for the city to do such a thing.
Okay, thank you. We have another question from District 8, and that is, well, it really refers to the whole city. They want to know when the playgrounds are going to reopen. And I know that we are waiting for word from our staff. It's not as simple as just opening a playground. We've closed them for a reason, and there will have to be, when we do, if and when we do reopen them, and I believe we are looking in that direction, the amount of cleaning that will have to take place every couple of hours will be very, very significant. So we've got to get a lot of equipment and so on and so forth. Do you have anything to add, Councillor Tordjman, on that?
No, you got it.
Okay. All right. And I don't know if she's still there, but I'm going to let her in. She's banging on the door, Councillor Burku. I'm going to let her in.
Special guest.
I'm getting her in. Is she there? A special guest cameo appearance. Councillor Burku starring Dita Burku. Dita, are you there? Because Dita had a comment she wants to make. I see her up there. I don't know if she's still there.
Well, is she? Dita, are you on?
Okay. Well, Dita,
her comment, yeah, it was, I did have this is from Dita, that she did have numerous meetings with residents around Freud, and the final design was adjusted based on the consultations with the residents.
Okay, and Dita chairs our planning advisory committee, and thank you for all the work you're doing. Okay, so I think that's it with the questions. I know I see someone on. Oh, Dita's there?
She's on and off. But I just want to hit a question on.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Dita, wait a half a second. Let David finish his comment, and we're going to let you have a cameo appearance on this meeting.
Cameo appearance. I'm not dressed for the occasion. I'm here.
Your hair looks great. Your hair looks great. David just had a comment to make, so fix your hair, and David will make a comment.
So there was a question on the Cavendish traffic organization. Sorry, Dita, if you can just mute. There was a question rather, on the Cavendish traffic lights. So the project to synchronize the lights, we've changed all the controllers, the lights. We have it's a radar it's attached to the arms that's going to detect traffic. We were supposed to finalize the project this spring, and it's just, like everything else, COVID happened. And that contract hasn't been completed yet. So I know it's still an inconvenience that the lights are not completely synchronized. But once this project can be up and running, and I believe they have the okay to go ahead, you should see a significant improvement to the synchronization. So that's just my comment on that question.
Okay, one more comment before we let Dita and Jacob Kinkler have their cameo appearance, because Jacob's always in our meetings. City Margulies just wanted to know what's happening with the empty lot at the corner of Marc Chagall and Kildare. That's right near Beth Chabad. It's owned by a developer. There is specific zoning for a 2-story kind of medical, not medical, office building. It's a zone for business. And the developer has come to us repeatedly and asked if we could change the zoning to allow it to be a larger residential development. I am completely against that. I gave my word to my constituents that after the equinox was done, I would not approve any new zoning. The only way I would approve new zoning in that area is if we were able to move the snow dump outside of the district and maybe put townhouses there. And I would do kind of a very firm consultation with my constituents. But in terms of the way the zoning is right now, that's the best I could agree to personally. So right now, nothing's happening with that at all. So, Councillor Burku, you want to make some concluding remarks? So
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, you asked to be on.
I didn't. I just commented in the chat section that I did have various meetings with the residents around Freud. I had repeated meetings with the residents around Freud, and the final design was adjusted to take into account the input of the residents. And they know who they are because they were at those meetings. I invited them as chair of the urban planning committee. I invited them to come and meet with the developer and the architect. And we adjusted the final design in order to take into account their requests. So that's what I wanted to say about Freud.
Okay, well, Dita, that's a sneak preview of the upcoming virtual town hall meeting with Dita Burku, and we don't know who her dancing partner is going to be yet, but it's going to happen very soon. So, thank you very much. Just so everybody knows, council meets by Zoom more often in a week than we used to meet sometimes in a month. We're meeting several times this week. It's really been great, but it's been overwhelming. Councillor Tordjman, any final remarks before we bid everyone adieu? Thanks. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Merci beaucoup. C'est une bonne expérience et on continue cette projet avec les autres conseils municipaux. Councillor Tordjman, any final comment?
Just say there was another question that I just saw pop up is on Melling between Mackle and Kildare. There's lots of kids. We have done traffic studies in that area. It's one of the areas that was targeted. We put in a temporary speed bump last year. We have one further up on the street. They're effective. They're not effective on the whole street, obviously. So we do ask for people to be just more careful, more cautious, drive a little bit slower for everybody's safety. So that's the only last question. I don't know if I hope we didn't miss any questions. I love, again, this idea of the chat scrolling. It's a great way to see, allow for discussion, open discussion. So that's it. Alors, je voulais simplement remercier tout le monde d'être venu. On avait une bonne participation. Ça va être disponible sur YouTube pour un bout de temps. Alors, si vous n'avez rien à faire, s'il vous plaît, regardez-le encore ou partagez-le plutôt. Mais ça va être refait encore avec d'autres conseils dans d'autres districts. Et on est toujours disponible. On a énormément de réunions avec le conseil via Zoom. Alors, ça fonctionne très bien et c'est une bonne manière de communiquer. Alors, je suis toujours disponible sur Facebook et tout. Alors, si vous voulez me communiquer sur d'autres questions, d'autres commentaires, s'il vous plaît, faites-le. I'm always available on various social media. My number is also published, so please reach out and it'll be a pleasure to speak.
La même chose que moi. Merci beaucoup. Thank you everyone for joining us. I hope people will, I will be doing a blog on this meeting and also putting the link to YouTube. I want to thank Daryl Levine very much for producing this first virtual meeting. And thank you very much.